States did not know about, nor was it involved in these incidents, and we're still gathering the information and gathering the facts. Broadly speaking, we've been very clear, and we remain very clear, about the importance of all parties avoiding any steps that could further escalate the conflict that we're trying to resolve.
Our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, he then shouted, Allahu Akbar, and detonated his own suicide vest. It was a very dramatic moment. Their White House spokesmodel said the same thing yesterday. We don't know nothing about it. We didn't know. And the reason is the Israelis don't share information with the Biden-Harris regime because the Biden-Harris regime are on the side of the jihadis. So our closest ally in that region cannot trust the American regime with sensitive information, assuming that they would be betrayed. And that's why Israel no longer shares this kind of information with the U.S. government, certainly not with the Biden White House, because our allies know that we're not good for it anymore. We can't be trusted anymore. And so we are left in the dark. And since I brought that, I got to get, because this is absolutely wild. It turns out that more things are blowing up in Lebanon today. What's blowing up in Lebanon? Well, it turns out that two-way radios are blowing up in Lebanon today because your pagers blew up yesterday. So you've resorted to the two-way radios, and the two-way radios today have started blowing up in Beirut, and that means that there will be more. And I hope that they're made in China, because that's the one country they left out when the fanatics are saying, don't buy any electronic devices or products made in, the United States, the EU, Australia, and, any place, and Taiwan and Japan and Korea. Don't buy any of those. And there's a funny meme going around my friend Jeff shared with me. It's the Motorola logo with the M, the kind of black M that looks like a bat in a white circle. And instead of Motorola, it says Martyrola. Martyr, M-A-R-T-Y-R-O-L-A. Martyr, I'm Martyrola, which is pretty darn funny. And the other meme going around today is the face of a pager being held in a man's hands, and he's looking at his pager, looking down on the pager, and it says 72 virgins. Because, then that blows up, and that's a lot of fun. But what's going on today is, here's the headline, Hezbollah's handheld radios explode in second wave of remote detonated attacks on terror group. The New York Post, great stuff. And Reuters, the Reuters news agency, Hezbollah handheld radios detonate across Lebanon, sources say. But now it's getting better because just in the last minute or so, cell phones are exploding. Now cell phones are exploding because, you're the bad guys. So Lebanese and Islamic Republic media are reporting a wave of additional Hezbollah communication devices exploding in southern Beirut. This time it's two-way radios and reportedly some mobile phones. The mobile phones, that's a little more old-fashioned. That goes back some time, putting an explosive inside of a cell phone. And now the two-way radios, many two-way radios are Motorola radios. A very fine corporation, makes a lot of really excellent, I've been using Motorola two-way radios and things all my adult life, actually, and excellent products. And now it's Martyrola. Martyrola. Isn't that amazing? And this is a great story, too. The Fox News Channel with the headline, Queers for Palestine, ? Group offers $1 million for LGBTQ advocacy org to host Pride Parade in Gaza, the West Bank. The West Bank, there are parts of the West Bank you might get away with it. But you go into Gaza and you try to hold a gay pride parade, and you'll be hanging from lampposts in no time at all. And everybody will be cheering Allahu Akbar because... But I love the idea. In fact, I've talked about this. I've always said that, you have a gay pride parade in the Gaza. It begins on the roof of the tallest building in Gaza and ends on the ground. Splat. A watchdog group that aims to expose hypocrisy. Boy, they're going to be busy. That's a full-time job. Announced that it would donate $1 million to, quote, Queers for Palestine, the group Queers for Palestine. It's a Democrat group, or any U.S. LGBTQ advocacy organization to host a gay pride parade in Gaza or the West Bank. Anti-Israel groups such as Queers for Palestine have surfaced across America since the Hamas terror group attacked Israel on October 7th of last year. But homosexuality remains deeply taboo in the Palestinian territories. Gay and transgender people in Gaza and the West Bank face a significant level of persecution and are often subjected to horrific acts. New Tolerance Campaign. The New Tolerance Campaign, we have to abbreviate it to NTC. The president of the New Tolerance Campaign, Gregory T. Angelo, who is gay, and the former president of Log Cabin Republicans, which is a gay Republican group, said the campaign is a wake-up call to anyone who identifies as part of Queers for Palestine or Gays for Gaza. That's too funny. I don't want people to just shrug off this campaign as some kind of publicity stunt or something that is supposed to be comical, even though it is. It actually is a legitimate offer, Angelo told Fox News Digital. I think it's great. Now, you guys have to make your way over there by yourselves, but this campaign emerged to call out these purported advocates of LGBTQ equality and put our money where our mouths are, he continued. I think that this is a real opportunity for these groups to legitimately step up and host an event that would either highlight the fact that Palestinian territories are not indeed a good place for LGBTQ individuals to be living, or it could be a breakthrough moment for pluralism and peace in the Middle East. Sure, I think that's great. So the New Tolerance Campaign said it secured commitments for the $1 million prize and will begin publicizing the offer with mobile billboards circulating around Columbia University in New York City, the headquarters of the Human Rights Campaign in Washington, D.C., and UCLA in Los Angeles, California. Obviously, the $1 million prize is something that is flashy, said Angelo. It was designed to get attention. It was designed to turn heads. But the greater drive behind this project is one of equality and broad human rights, Angelo said. So good for these guys. I think it's great. And if you're with, Gays for Gaza and Queers for Palestine, you really have to take them up on the offer. You got to go over there and, prove what you're made of. I think that's a great idea. That's great. All right, Michael, any new two-way radio explosions or a cell phone explosion? Now that the cell phones are exploding, they're going to have to boycott electronic devices from China too, because that's where they come from. Isn't that amazing? So now, gosh, there are a whole lot of places where you just can't buy your electronic devices if you're a jihadi, if you're a member of Hezbollah or the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, or the list is long. Let's send some communication devices to the Houthis, too. So earlier, Syed Mohammed Marandi out of Iran, who was raised until he was 13 in Richmond, Virginia, tweeted out, "Do not purchase electronic goods produced in the U.S., Canada, UK, EU, Australia, Taiwan, New Zealand, Japan, or Korea. That's the activist from Iran, Syed Mohammad Marandi. And the responses to his tweet were pretty hilarious. They're saying, oh, good, you just made best possible advertisement for Chinese mainland produced, like Huawei and Xiaomi. And now the cell phones are exploding. So you guys are like, oh, expletive deleted, snapping their fingers. Damn, now we got no place to buy stuff. Isn't that amazing? Today is Mailbag Day, too. And I haven't even mentioned that in a while. But it is Mailbag Day. And let me, while I'm focused on that for just a moment, let me jump into the mailbag. Jump into the mailbag because Wednesday is Hump Day in the Clinton household and Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plant Show. From John G., mailbag question number 1. If the legacy media viewership is so abysmal, then how do they have any power to carry or influence the narrative when no one is watching them? Well, the truth is millions of people are still watching ABC, NBC, and CBS News. Their numbers are not what they used to be, but they have morning shows and they have their evening news broadcasts and they reach millions of people. But they're all the tail. The dog is the New York Times and the big newspapers that all the newsrooms follow. And they're all Democrat Party front groups. And it's about information dominance, John G. Information dominance is key. And they own Silicon Valley. They own the newspapers, Jeff Bezos at the Washington Post and the lefties at the New York Times. We saw the Philadelphia TV station, the ABC affiliate, fluffing Kamala Harris the other day with softball questions. And they influence the politicians. They influence because of information dominance, media dominance and information dominance. They control the conversation. They also have corrupted the narratives when you search on Google, and they've corrupted Twitter. That's why they're so angry when Elon Musk bought Twitter, because he believes in free speech and they don't. But they dominate the conversation, John, and the public discourse because of the overwhelming dominance that they have secured. Sylvie in Waldorf says, Tim Walz. Her question is, Tim Walz said there is no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech. Are Harris and Walz going to take away our free speech? Is the question that Sylvie, the great Sylvie in Waldorf, has.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Yeah, they're fascists, and they're here. The left is coming for our rights. I have items on the Chris Plant store that say coffee mugs, and I believe T-shirts that say the left is coming for our rights. The First Amendment, the freedom to practice your religion, they'll take you to court to try to prevent you from saying a prayer on a football field after a high school football game. They're trying to criminalize speech. Hillary Clinton said something about this just in the last couple of days, too, about putting people in prison, charging people with crimes for speech violations. They are fascists disguised as liberals. They're not liberals at all. Are Harris and Walz going to take away our free speech? The left is here. They are the left. And that was Walz. He made it clear. This is a dangerous crop of leftists. They're not liberals. They're not democratic. And yes, they're coming for our free speech. They censored the last election cycle around using the FBI and the federal government, law enforcement, to go after speech, and New York Post reporting on Hunter Biden's laptop, to name but one thing. Yes, they're coming for our speech. Yes. Roy P. asks, how large is your souvenir collection from your travels? Do you lease a storage unit or live in a museum? That's a fun question. That's a very fun question. I do have items from all over the world, from the Philippines and Vietnam and Morocco and Ghana, and I have knives and Saudi Arabia and Argentina and lots of places. I try to make sure to buy small things. This is literally true, and I always have, when I'm traveling, something that will fit in my bag, and I always carry on, and something not too big. Sometimes a knife you have to check. But I have a lot of items in our small home, and And I can give you a tour. And I have one of the things I do is I grab a rock, a small rock somewhere, not generally larger around than a quarter, than an American, the currency, a quarter. But I collect small things, and I have rocks from a lot of interesting places, from Nelson Mandela's jail cell and the pyramids, and from various places. But I have small things. I have a couple of wooden fertility dolls from Ghana, which led to my niece. I do have. We got to take a quick break here, and I have another question from the mailbag, and I want to tell you that very quickly the story about the wooden fertility dolls from Ghana, which led to my niece being born. All right, and now I'll try to make this quick because it could be a long story. One of my brothers and his wife, high school sweethearts, married, trying desperately to have children, and it wasn't happening, and they're doing all the usual things you do when you want to make sure you have kids, and it wasn't happening. And I stopped in Accra, Ghana, in Africa, and I was talking to a street vendor, some wooden dolls, a man and a woman. I'm like, oh, tell me about these. Oh, these are fertility dolls. You have these, and you will surely have children. I said, oh, this is great. So I bought them, and I said, I'll bring them home. I'll give them to my brother and his wife, and, then for sure they'll get pregnant. They're trying so hard. And by the time I got home to Washington, I realized, they might not see the humor in this because they're kind of stressed out. It's a stressful thing. So I said, I'll tell you what, I got the dolls. I'll talk to the dolls and tell them it's for my brother and his wife. And then, sure enough, 11 months later, their first daughter was born. And I didn't say anything about it. I didn't say anything about it to them until she was graduating from college last year. and I took a picture of the two fertility dolls, and I sent them on a text thread with my niece and my brother and my sister-in-law. And I explained to them, I just want you to know the only reason that your daughter is graduating from college is because of these two fertility dolls that I got when you guys were trying so hard to have kids. I got the fertility dolls, and this explains everything. You can thank me later, because it was a text thread and I was far away, and that was great. And then T-Bone asked, Chris, what was the first car you ever owned? Why did you buy it? I needed a car. How much did it cost you? What kind of sound system did it have? That's funny. My first car was a 1971 Honda Civic. I paid $800 for it. I bought it because I needed to get back and forth to work and to school. But very quickly, I swapped it out for a 1961 Studebaker Lark that I paid $200 for, but I bought that from my brother Daniel. So yesterday, the pagers were blowing up, and the Iranian ambassador had his eye blown out by a pager that he had pressed against his eye. Never press a pager against your eye. Listen, you mess with Israel, and you're going to get what's coming to you. You murder all these people. You're a savage, genocidal lunatic. And these... honestly, the Iranians gouge out women's eyes for protesting in favor of women's rights, which, by the way, the Shah provided before Jimmy Carter betrayed the Shah of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, and he was forced out, and the Ayatollahs took over because Democrats do everything wrong. They're on the wrong side of everything always. Women were going to universities wearing miniskirts. Oh, gasp. But then the Ayatollahs took over, and the Democrats were too dumb to be on the right side of that one. Just amazing. Amazing stuff. What a world. All right, hey, we haven't gone to a telephone call in a little while. Let's go to a telephone call. Let's go to looking at some of the things on the big board here. Let's go to Mark calling from Winchester, Virginia. Marcus, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Hey, Mark.
You were talking about January 6th a little while ago, and I'm almost 900% sure that most of the news organizations told everybody that Antifa and the Black Lives Matter people were the ones that broke into the Capitol. And yes, some of the Trump people followed them in there, but that's who did this, not the Trump followers. And don't you think that I heard there was like 300,000 people on the mall out there listening to him speak? Yeah. If they had went over there, there's nothing in the world could have stopped them.
Yeah, it was that whole thing still, and, the Republicans are not very good on Capitol Hill. They had these hearings and all that stuff, and they're not very good at sorting these things out. The FBI is still hunting people across the country and trying to jail people, most of whom walked in through open doors. Now, look, there are some people who broke windows. There are people that assaulted police officers, and those people should be held accountable for what they did. Doesn't mean they should get 20 years in prison, but like Enrique Tarrio, who I think of the Proud Boys, who's a black guy, comes from a Cuban family in Florida. He was given 22 years in prison, if I remember correctly, and he wasn't even at the Capitol on January 6th. He was in a hotel room in Baltimore. The whole January 6th thing has been a debacle from start to finish. No, I mean, it shouldn't have happened the way that it happened. And we still have who's the FBI stooge? What's the guy's name? I'm blanking on his name right now. I should remember it right off the top of my head. No, the big guy who's yelling, "We're going into the Capitol," and that guy. But there are people who were encouraging, inciting violence that have not faced the wrath of the federal government. And Ashley Babbitt, of course, was shot and killed, and the Democrats celebrate a young woman being shot and killed for the alleged crime of trespassing. But the whole January 6th thing has been a debacle from start to finish. I have a friend whose family got caught up in that recently, and they're still hunting people down. And look, let's hold to the same standard the people that attacked the White House for 3 days and forced the evacuation of the President of the United States when it was Trump, the people that set fire to the Church of the Presidents, the people that that have rioted at burned courthouses and police stations across the country, not held to the same standard at all. Ray Epps. I'm sorry, I blanked on his name. It's okay. You can just speak up. You don't have to send secret codes. Then people know you're here.
Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. Peacefully. Fed.
And people are yelling, "Fed," accusing Ray Epps of being a federal agent or a federal plant. Because, he was the only one yelling we need to go into the Capitol. And who was he? And, of course, he stated he was on the most wanted poster immediately after January 6th. And then, magically, his face disappeared from the most wanted poster. Wasn't that amazing? Yes, sir. Just remarkable. And then he was eventually sentenced to probation. Because conservatives raised hell and said, well, what about this guy? He's the only one you got on videotape all over the place inciting violence, inciting people go in, and the crowd calling him out as a Fed. And he was sentenced to probation. Enrique Tarrio, African-American, Cuban-American, Proud Boys, 22 years in prison, and he was in Baltimore on January 6th. Amazing. Just amazing. Also, lefties are claiming that, the Proud Boys are marching in Springfield, Ohio. I missed that one, but that's what lefties are claiming now. I blanked on Ray Epps' name. That's okay, I think. All right, listen, we've got where is President Trump? Because we've got more stuff here. Let's go to soundbite number 8. President Trump was in Flint, Michigan yesterday at a big event with lots and lots of people, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders was kind of the host, moderator, doing the introductions and so on, and they're up on stage. And President Trump talking about Now 2 attempted assassinations in no time at all.
It's a little bit dangerous. It's, they think race car driving is dangerous. No. They think bull riding, that's pretty scary, right? No. This is a dangerous business, so we have to keep it safe. Then you wonder why it gets shot at, right? Only consequential presidents get shot at.
Yeah, that's only consequential presidents get shot at. Trump is really something. He's we'll just say brave. He's got a great deal of intestinal fortitude, and he brushes it off. He walks it off. Not like those, Kennedy family people. He just walks it off. Isn't that amazing? And this was the president actually day before yesterday. That one was Flint, Michigan last night, but day before yesterday, talking about describing what he heard when he was on the golf course on Sunday.
All of a sudden we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5. And it sounded like bullets. We got into the carts and we moved along pretty good.
We got along pretty good. Yeah, we're hearing shots, and there were plenty of shots because the Secret Service opened fire to whoever it was that was in the hedgerow. And then the guy ran, and we do have to find that good citizen that got the pictures that led to the quick arrest, because that guy, as one of our brilliant callers said a little while ago, needs to be invited to the White House when President Trump is back in there, and he should get medals from the local police department, awards, maybe a lucite block or a golden statuette, but he really should. And President Trump also talked to Sean Hannity on the Fox News Channel.
We have long requested more people, more men and women, but more people. And because, we'll have rallies, 50, 60,000. In New Jersey, we had 107,000 people show up. There's never been anything like it. And we have long requested more people. That's true. That's the weakness. We need more people here for security. And we never seem to get that. And I think we are getting it now. Somebody told me that they will be providing more people now.
Now, it's a closing the barn door after the cow is gone kind of situation. But fortunately, not quite, because they were both unsuccessful. And I got to say, the Secret Service had the president's golfing. Apparently, it was kind of short notice. It wasn't planned. Said, hey, I want to go golf. I happen to own a golf course up the road. Let's go there. It's real nice. And they're on the fairway. And the police saw the Secret Service people are going out in front of him, kind of doing the sweep in real time. But there it is. Now, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, a Republican, is opening his own investigation because nobody trusts the FBI or the Secret Service to do the job right. And Ron DeSantis announcing, well, we're going to have our own.
We have the ability to pursue potentially life in prison under state law. That's a huge reason why we should move forward at the state level.
And that, the FBI has lost the faith and confidence of the American people, and the Secret Service is kind of in a down cycle right now, too. Marco Rubio, Senator, Florida, talking about, again, cringe and the Democrats and everybody's Hitler and he's going to destroy the country and is a threat to our democracy. And then people try to murder him and they don't take any responsibility at all because they have the brains of little children.
There are enough lunatics and nut jobs out there who are going to take the next step and say, well, this guy is truly evil, if this guy is truly dangerous, if our democracy and our system of government is going to be wiped out if this guy wins, I need to take this guy out.
Yeah, well, that's what we're watching. It seems quite obvious. Da Nang Dick, who claimed repeatedly that he went to Vietnam as a Marine, but he never did. He served as a Marine. That was good enough. But he lied that he went to Vietnam and again. Da Nang Dick, he's not on the side of truth, justice, and the American way.
Trump's rhetoric invites high emotion and strong views, and that may present a challenge for the Secret Service.
Trump's rhetoric is to blame because Trump's rhetoric inflames Democrats who feel the need to assassinate him, to murder him, to shoot him with a rifle. And so it's Trump's fault. That's Blumenthal. Then Senator Rand Paul made the mistake of talking to some media activists who shout over him that it's Trump's fault.
Anybody who's comparing him to Hitler, anybody who's saying he's going to end democracy, it's happening all the time on all your networks. You're ginning these people up, and the death threats are going to continue to happen as long as you're being dishonest.
Do you think? And then they're shouting him down and talk these fake journalists who ought to be gassed. And just throw ought to be gassed in there because, it's a World War II thing. Man, oh, man. J.D. Vance. You may be familiar with him. He's Senator. He's President Trump's running mate.
To the Democrats, to the media, to everybody that has been attacking this man, cut it out or you're going to get somebody killed.
Yeah, that would seem pretty obvious, I think, right? And on The View, another Democrat party, it's that media dominance and information dominance thing where they have the most miserable people in the history of the world who are named Whoopi and Sonny and Joy. And no sense of irony.
They're saying the Democrats, the left side has to stop the rhetoric. Donald Trump is a twice impeached loser. That is not rhetoric.
That is not rhetoric. That is rhetoric. See, they use the words, but they don't know what they mean. They pay them millions of dollars to be part of the Democrat Party's propaganda machine, the Soviet and then, of course, Hillary Diane Rodham.
I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. We can't go back and give this very dangerous man another chance to do harm to our country and the world.
Very dangerous man, harm, danger to the world. And that is after the second assassination attempt, which the news media likes to hedge on and say, well, alleged, maybe, we don't know. Honestly, these people, J.D. Vance.
I'm not going to say we're always perfect. I'm not going to say that conservatives always get things exactly right. But the big difference between conservatives and liberals is that no one has tried to kill Kamala Harris in the last couple of months, and 2 people now have tried to kill Donald Trump in the last couple of months. I'd say that's pretty strong evidence that the left needs to tone down the rhetoric and needs to cut this crap out.
Oh, but Wang, the ABC reporter at the White House, said they make these claims without evidence. Now let's go to the Washington Post fake reporter, corrupt person, Leanne Caldwell.
We don't know that no one has tried to kill Kamala Harris in the last couple of months. This is the Secret Service's job to keep people safe. There are threats on a daily basis of the president, the vice president, elected officials, members of Congress.
So the Washington Post says we don't know whether someone has tried to assassinate Kamala Harris in the last couple of months or not. That's the Washington Post contribution. They ought to be gassed. Honestly, the ABC reporter, without evidence, and the Washington Post reporter, Leanne Caldwell, we don't know whether someone has tried to assassinate Kamala Harris. They love nothing more than playing the victim. And if there had been anything resembling a sniper, an assassin on a rooftop with a rifle, I can assure you there would be wall-to-wall coverage 24 hours a day for months on end, because there is no status more exalted than the status of victim when it comes to Democrats. Man, oh man. Football season is here, you may have noticed, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action while watching football. The app is very simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport. Pick more or less on their projections, and you could win, listen to this, up to 100 times your money. And all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Not only that, but Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy app with its injury insurance. You ever hear of that before? If one of your players goes down in the first half, Prize Picks does not score it against you as a loss. How about that? Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code PLANT, Plante, to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's the code PLANT at prizepicks.com for a $50 credit instantly. All you have to do is play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. To play, visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. Yeah, and there's I hope we can get to the women and sports and Riley Gaines, because she's got a a great new program going, and I hope to get to that as well.
The Bullocks, next door, real right-wingers. American flag up every day. Real fascists. Ought to be gassed. You know the type.
Now, a short time ago, there was a report out of Nassau County in New York saying that police have found explosives in a car near tonight's Trump rally in Long Island, and with everything that's going on. And the initial report, police found explosives, an improvised explosive device, a bomb in a car near the Trump rally, perhaps targeting Trump, perhaps targeting Trump supporters who Howard Stern hates. And then cops confirm no threat to Trump rally after explosives report. That was the next story. Oh, really? You found an explosive device in a vehicle at the location of the Trump rally, but there is no threat. And now the latest update from the New York Post. Cops shoot down bogus report of explosives found near Trump's Long Island rally site. Police said Wednesday there was no validity to reports that explosives had been found near the site of President Trump's Long Island rally. Nassau County Police spokesman denied the claim circulating on social media just hours before Trump's campaign event was set to take place at the Nassau Coliseum. So that is good news, presuming all of that is true. Lots of people are already gathering at the Nassau Coliseum for President Trump's, I believe, 7 p.m. Eastern Time event there. And initial reports, social media isn't. And the Nassau County Police have come out and bragged. They've said, we're not going to let that other stuff that happens elsewhere. We're not going to let that happen here. We are, what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, what happened in West Palm Beach. They say, Nassau County in New York, they said, we're going to sweep. The police are saying, we're going to sweep this area. We're going to clean it up. If there's a rooftop, if there's a high point, if there's a point of vulnerability, we're not going to, see a repeat of that stuff that we've seen elsewhere. We're going to clean this up and do it right. And I believe them. Now we'll keep our fingers crossed because there are a lot of crazy Democrats out there and their rhetoric.